The die is cast.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It is Constantine III here, and welcome to the Advanced Vayne Kiting Mechanics video. First off, I want to preface this video by saying this. In no reasonably length video could anyone possibly hope to discuss all the nuances with kiting as Vayne, with all of her mechanical difficulty. The longer you watch this video, the more you'll understand that there are hundreds of little nuanced things you can do with Vayne's kit. Just the fact that she can be invisible and stun as an ADC is really insane in terms of the amounts of versatility it can give you. So I'm going to do my best to tell you everything that I think is absolutely pertinent for you to know, but we just can't hit every bullet point. Before we get into specifics, I really want to talk to you guys about exactly how Vayne works in terms of her kiting. And I don't mean like the mechanical tricks and all that. I mean, how does she actually successfully kite people? Number one, which everybody knows, the Vayne Mechanics meme, you need to have really strong mechanics to do it. But what really makes Vayne difficult to kite as is that you have to have a lot of cunning. You have to be 2 steps ahead of your opponents. You have to be thinking on a whole new level. They're playing checkers and you're playing chess kind of deal. You have to use stealth, juking, cunning, knowing all cooldowns, watching out for skill shots. All of these things are imperative. Essentially, your goal is to fight like a ghost. When you get attacked, you need to fade into the shadows. And when the time is right, you need to re-emerge and strike. Don't just stand there and auto the front line. Don't just randomly tumble towards people. Don't just fire off your condemned. Don't just pop your cooldowns for no reason. You need to be a tactical master. And the only way you're going to be able to use these tactics, the only way you're going to be able to fight on this level, is if you have your kiting mechanics ironed down. When I team fight, I literally do not think about kiting. It is pure muscle memory. Not a single thought goes into auto-attacking. I don't even waste a single brain cell thinking about it. So once you get the first stuff from the first video mastered, A, left click, right click on the ground. A, left click, right click on the ground. Then you are ready to start talking about this, the advanced mechanics, the dancing with the shadows, the fun stuff. Let's talk about what makes exceptional kiting exceptional. Good kiting is when somebody is able to just auto-attack and constantly reposition and move away. But double lift levels of kiting involve this: reload animation cancels. Now first off, before we talk about this, we need to talk about how an auto-attack works. Scrap Computer has a fantastic video about this, and I'm going to put up a couple of highlights and a link to his channel and all of that, but this really explains it perfectly. It would be a waste of breath for me to say it again when this man has said it so well.
The most important thing to note is that the entire auto-attack animation is not needed. I'll say it again. The entire auto-attack animation is not needed. There are only a few mandatory parts of the animation. I shall show you which are needed and which are not needed by showing you a normal auto-attack. Step number 1. Preparation lock on the champion. Mandatory. This is the moment you click and the client registers which champion you wish to auto-attack. This is shown below. This is you pointing towards the champion. Not very distinctive unless of course you're looking the other way, but very important step. Step number 2. Preparing the firing mechanism. Mandatory. In this case shown below, it is Ashe pulling back her bow. This is the preparation before firing the projectile. It will change depending upon the champion and is a very important step. Look closely and you will see the required startup animation. Step number 3. The projectile leaving your champion. Mandatory. This step is ambiguously mandatory. The last part of the animation is the actual firing of the projectile. This requires the projectile to be completely away from the champion before it finishes. Step number 4. The projectile traveling towards the enemy. Optional. This last step does have an animation, which most people don't even think about. Once the projectile has been fired, the animation, if not cancelled, will look like this and is shown below. It's an animation that will put you back to your normal stance, so you may start the steps again. If not prompted otherwise, the normal animation is shown. As you can see, it wastes a ton of time. It's groggly, we're waiting for the projectile to hit the champion, and of course we're revamping our animation back to our normal stance, so we may start step 1 again. Wasted time. Step number 4 is not needed at all. So, what all good players do is say, well, hey, in this small time I can travel instead of step 4. By moving a little, you reset your auto attack animation, removing the step and replacing it with a literal step or 2 on the map. When you move, you cut/break the useless end of the animation off, as we don't need it, and replace it with a movement animation. So, as soon as the projectile leaves your champion, the second it is out, you're free to move a small distance. Congratulations, you're officially kiting.
So now you guys should know how you can cancel that 4th step, how to cut out that reload time. So every time you're kiting someone and you want to auto-attack somebody, you need to make sure you cancel this unnecessary animation. It's a waste of DPS and it's a waste of time. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. Scrap Computer highlighted 1. Whenever you right-click on the ground, you can cancel the reload animation. But there is another way to do it that is only specific to Vayne. Tumble. Tumble actually, number 1, cancel this reload animation, and the normal delay between firing auto attacks that's capped by your attack speed is actually also canceled by the tumble, which means that you can basically instantaneously do a double auto attack with tumble. So whenever you're kiting someone and you don't have your ultimate up, or you're not looking to stealth juke anybody with your ultimate up, you can actually auto attack and then instantly tumble. This will, number 1, get you distance, and number 2, let you cancel that reload and delay, which will let you do a lot more damage. So whenever you're kiting people, make sure you don't just mash the Q button. Wait until you fired an auto attack and then tumble to reset the auto. It's worth waiting the half a second to do it in order to dramatically increase your damage per second. Takeaway from this video that I showed you guys is that in a skirmish or a team fight when you're kiting someone, the important thing is to always be moving so you can always cancel these animation reloads and you get to reposition. Now that we've got that basic skill out of the way, let's talk about Condemn. How should you use it? Well, the best way to think about this without having to ask you guys to have years of experience is to just have this simple checklist. Whenever you're in a skirmish or a team fight, the first thing you should be asking yourself concerning Condemn is, do I need this for peel? Is an Aurelia or a Hecarim or a Rengar going to jump on me? And am I going to need to knock them away from me so they can't one-shot me? Or, on a similar note, is there a Kennen, is there a Fiddlesticks, somebody who's going to have a huge AoE ult that's going to one-shot my team? I'm going to need to save Condemn to knock them away from my team as well. If you do need Condemn for peel, ideally you want to use it to pin them to a wall. However, be careful about this. Don't think you have to. I've learned a lot from watching Gosu use Condemn. He does not hesitate to use it to just knock away someone who's attacking me, which always surprised me. I was very gluttonous of my Condemn. I always wanted to pin somebody to something with it, but you do not always have to. Just knocking away a diver from you is a completely acceptable and usually best use of your Condemn. For some reason, if you're not worried about getting dove and there isn't a big ultimate, this is primarily in the case of dueling. This is when you should be thinking about actually repositioning for a stun. In a team fight, trying to reposition for a stun will usually wind you up in a terrible spot and you're just going to get blown up. But if there's only 1 or 2 people, then yeah, go for the stun. It's typically the best use of it in that situation. Otherwise, just using it for peel or to disengage a large AoE ultimate is a perfectly acceptable and usually best use of your Condemn. Alright, pull out your notepad, boys. We're finally talking about it. Stealth juking. Dancing with the shadows. Fading into darkness. The famous Vayne kiting maneuver. Constantine III is here to teach you the basics behind it. This is a clip from a montage that I'm going to be releasing very soon once my awesome editor Inspect and Finish is making it. Poor guy works 13 fucking hours a day and still has time to edit this for me, so huge shout out to him, and I hate to spoil this, but this is just such a good example of stealth juking that I have to show it. This will give you guys a really good understanding about what I mean about this and showing you how to actually do it. Alright, no audio either because I don't want to spoil the song because it's because it's an excellent choice. It's just, yeah, I'm so excited to show this to you guys. But here's the clip. So standard Constantine style, let's watch it all the way through and break it down. Just so you guys can understand what happens here, this is from the enemy team's perspective. So this is from their vision, and this will really highlight what I'm trying to teach you guys. Okay, that was it right there. Let me back it up a little bit. So that is the basic idea behind it. I don't want to spoil any other play. God, I'm so excited to show this to you guys. Okay, so right here is that we're going to start breaking it down. The spacebar work for this, excellent. Okay, so that highlights literally everything I'm trying to teach you guys right here is all in this clip. So let's break it down. So number one, I see that Echo is diving, so I'm going to start hitting him. And I start autoing him, and notice how I'm just kiting back constantly. And then all of a sudden, oh god, I fucking love this shit. Then all of a sudden, I disappear, and Lucian flashes forward, and Echo jumps forward, but all of a sudden, oh, I'm actually behind them. So they're over here, right? And they're like chasing a ghost. They're like, okay, come on, kill her, she's definitely in here. And all of a sudden, bam, I appear out of fucking nowhere, and all of a sudden, Janna's like, oh shit. So she's getting picked off, and they turn around because they're, again, chasing ghosts. They just, they got danced, man. They tangled with the shadows, and they fucking lost. So then I see Lux is over here, and my team is basically dead at this point. It's 1v9, and so I'm going to tumble back into this brush over here. Hecarim gets on me, and I instantly use Condemn on him. That was the peeling Condemn I was talking about. I knock him away, because I know this guy is going to absolutely destroy me. So I knock him away, and I start kiting him. Unfortunately, my ultimate runs out, so no more stealth shenanigans anymore, which is really unfortunate. So I'm just autoing him, and all of a sudden I realize, crap, Lucian, the jig is up. He realized that he got tangoed, and now he's backing down to kill me. So I'm autoing, and they think they have me. I'm autoing, and I'm kiting back, and all of a sudden, boom, flash the wall, and I'm out of there. And, Hecarim's on the other side, and I just finish him off right there. So that is the idea. You use stealth, you use condemn, you trick your enemies, you constantly get them to chase shadows, and you use that to just absolutely dominate enemies. This is why Vayne is so awesome. This is why people love her so much, in my opinion at least, because you can do things like this. No other champion in the entire game could have pulled something off like this, but Vayne could, because Vayne is fucking awesome, and this is how you do it. Number one, whenever you use your ultimate, do not ever, unless you have no intention whatsoever, which you pretty much always should, because enemies normally don't expect this, of using self-juking mechanics, you should always hold your tumble. Use it to reposition. Use the stealth to juke people. That is the best use of it. So when you're stealth juking, tumbling the way that you're kiting is normally not the best. People are not going to get faked out by that. What they will get faked out by is if you go one way and then all of a sudden totally change directions. The idea behind doing this is because if you can get enemies to chase a shadow, that is a massive victory for you. In that clip that you guys just saw, think about how much pressure was alleviated for my team when Echo and Lucian ran off and just ran into that bush for no reason and ran around there thinking that I was over there when I was actually on the entire other side of the team fight. That bought my team so much time. There was no way we would have won that fight without them doing that. So if you can fake out enemies by doing that, massive, massive, massive win. So always look to do it. The best way you can trick somebody is, like I said, number one, changing directions. But the way it works is this. Whenever you tumble, the only thing the enemies can see is the way that you were facing beforehand. So if I'm facing towards north, let's say, but I enter a tumble command going south, it will look as if I have still tumbled north, when actually I've gone the other way. Another reason why this is so effective is because when enemies follow this fake out that I just described how to do, there is a massive net gain in distance between you and the enemies. Not only are you moving away from them, but they are moving away from you. So it's like twice the amount of kiting you would normally get, and you can create massive gaps between you and the divers that will honestly just absolutely destroy them. Whenever you're using stealth tumbles, the absolute best way you can use it is to, number one, move to a safer spot by juking out an enemy. Number two, getting them to chase a ghost while that's happening. Number three, positioning for a condemn that they won't expect is also another great way. The Luck standing next to a wall kind of flinging her shit everywhere is not going to expect a Vayne that was before in the back line all of a sudden to appear right next to her and pin her to a wall. The support won't be expecting it either. So these stealth tumbles can be super useful in turning on the back line when they absolutely least expect it. Plus, the big thing you gotta know about this is that your ultimate gives you 90 extra move speed when you're running toward an enemy. So actually, if you're like tumbling towards enemies in a stealth juke, you'll actually get huge amounts of distance because you have all this extra movement speed. Even though that play was super hype and I'm super hyped up right now, you gotta remember not to be too hypey. Because we've all done it, I've done it hundreds of times. When you think, I can do this, I can fake him out, I can make the play, a lot of times you can't. Remember, the enemies have CC, they have tons of damage, and you know what? These plays are extremely difficult to make. It is extremely difficult to know exactly when you can do this, execute everything perfectly, blah blah blah. It takes forever to get good at this. Most people never fully master it. I think Imp has got it figured out. And Uzi, that's that's about it. Everyone else is still in the process of learning. So don't get frustrated with yourself. In ranked, probably don't try this until you're confident, but if you want to go into a normal and just feed your ass off trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, that's a perfectly acceptable way to do it. But these tips I'm giving you should help out a lot. In any case, tumbling like through people always seems to mess with their heads. I don't really understand it, but whenever like someone is running at you or away from you and you tumble in the opposite way that they're going, they never expect it, especially if you're facing the opposite way that you actually tumble. So again, enemies following you and you're running north, you face north and all of a sudden tumble south, they're never going to expect it ever. You can also like run through people when you're invisible, I'm pretty sure. There's no like, you're not going to get like blocked by Gragas. At least it's never happened to me before. Also, very important, do not use tumble to cancel animation reloads when you have your ultimate up. That is a great way to kite, but stealth is such a huge part in tricking people out and doing all of these kind of cool things. You need to save your tumble for when you need to stealth. When you see a window, when you think you can fake someone out, when you need it to get away from a diver, always save stealth. And remember, stealth lasts for 1 whole second. Don't instantly auto-attack someone. That will break the invisibility. You can stay invisible for a whole second and meander your way around the team fight and map and get into unique, interesting positions to open up on people that they won't expect and to get away from people. And finally, like I said earlier, the basic prerequisite for diving the backline is that number 1, they're relatively isolated, number 2, you're pretty sure you can condemn them, and number 3, no hard CC or exhaust is left. So really, I know that was a lot to think about and a lot to keep track of in your head, and you're probably confused right now, or maybe you aren't confused, like you get it, but you know you're not going to be able to execute it, because let's be honest, that would be really just insane if you heard this and you were like, oh yeah, I can be Challenger now. What is the best way you're going to learn about this? Well, number 1 is practice, but number 2, I promise on the channel I will be uploading highlights of team fights. Not even like highlights, because that implies there's no commentary, team fight breakdowns. I want to show you guys exactly how I team fight on Vayne, how other good Vayne players team fight on Vayne, and how you can use stealth and condemn and all of that good stuff to make plays and to properly kite people. This is the advanced mechanics video. This is the foundation. And from here, whenever you watch team fights, whenever you play team fights, whenever you hear me break them down, now that you know these rules, you should have the tools available to you to analyze and understand what is happening and what's being said. So that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If I missed something, if there's something in here that you didn't understand, that I didn't explain properly, because I'm sure there is, please leave me a comment and I'll make a video about it. I have no problem making more content for things that I fucked up in this video. Thank you so much again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope this helped. I hope this made sense. I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry it was kind of long, but this is a complicated topic. Take it easy and have a good one.